Hello, everyone. We are here today with you. I have Selena Arrington, McCall Gavinian, and Cassie Hellriegel from Almergy High School joining us. We are here to talk about everyone's favorite topic, school calendar. So we wanted just to come with you, spend about 10 minutes with you before we release options for you to vote on for the 2026-27 school calendar that we've been working on. There's a lot of questions still coming about, a lot of redundant questions, same questions we tried to get ahead of last year with FAQs and frequently asked questions. However, they keep coming up. And so to try to get ahead of that again and to be transparent and communicate with you all in hopes that we answer them all, we decided to do a podcast. So as a reminder, last year when I came on board, we decided to form a calendar committee that consisted of teacher representation from all grade levels, all 4 communities, members from the district office that involve testing, special education services, student services, instructional technology, former principals, to make sure we cover all of the things that go into a school calendar. And so there are a lot of stipulations that go into a school calendar, one of them being the testing requirements. And McCall, could you talk to us a little bit about that and what we have to keep in mind?
Yes. Well, we know that students have 180 days or 170.
180 in Georgia law is the
Right.
typical standard, yes.
So, and then Georgia law also dictates that we have to test the last 25 days of school. So we can't test 26 days before school. It's got to be 25 and under. Well, with keeping that in mind, we have a spring break we have to factor in. When we come back from spring break, they also want to do a boot camp or review. So then when we give the assessments, we have to wait so many days before we get the results back, and high schools need those for final grades.
Right.
And elementary and middle school use them for promotion and retention and retest. So then we have to get them back and we have to have retest days.
Yep.
And so anyway, there's a lot that goes into that. Also, AP testing in the high schools are the first 2 weeks in May, and we can't dictate that. That's College Board. That's all done. Everybody in the whole country does the same thing.
Special ed, you also have GAA testing too.
Right, we have the
So there's a lot
GAA
of tests that
testing.
have to be done.
So yes, the end of April, month of May is full of testing, and yes, the calendar has to really look at getting those days in before graduation and before field events and
Right.
field
The
days.
fun stuff.
All the fun stuff. In addition to that, I know we said 180 is pretty much the standard school days in the state of Georgia, but we are also a charter system, so we can waive that number, and we've been able to do so. Dr. White, gave us 2 years ago 4 additional planning days for staff development, trainings that have been implemented by the literacy law, by the state mandate, and benchmark training to give teachers and staff additional days to plan and work towards that. And so we've had 176 student days. We've also, because we are a charter system, when we adopted that in 2010, we adopted a modified year-round calendar. McCall, can you talk a little bit? I know you were here for that, and we've kind of kept that since then.
I guess I'm the old person on on the panel. No, we had the modified calendar, and what basically meant you would take, we had a full week in the fall, 2 weeks in the fall. We had the 2 weeks at Christmas. We had a 2-week spring break. So you would have longer breaks, and we were able to do that and offer during 1 week during the 2-week break, we would do remediation, and we even had some enrichment services we offered students, and it was by invitation. And so anyway, we've kind of gotten away from that and gone to more of a modified traditional kind of calendar.
Okay, and so that, that's kind of where we are now with somewhat of a break every month. And on our committee, we've had Cassie, Pam Rutland was going to join us today from Johnson Elementary. And then we've had other teachers who are unable to be here. But as we were forming these committees and talking about everything that McCall just mentioned, Cassie chimed in, you have to think about, too, the days change every year. Leap year. They shift every year. You know, this year's Friday is going to be a Saturday the next year, or a Sunday. Holidays are going to fall at a different timeline. You also have to look at FTE count, which is extremely important.
You cannot be out on FTE. We
Right.
would lose thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yes. Things that happen in our special education department, testing that Cassie referenced earlier, a lot of different things. And Cassie, I'm going to put the spotlight on you a little bit. Some of the feedback that we got through teacher advisory and through the committee, what were some needs for high school teachers? They're very different than what our needs are for elementary, and we realize that. But at some point, we've got to meet in the middle. And so what were some of the needs that you heard as we were discussing the calendar?
I think high school, when we were talking about testing and all that stuff, it was important to have all that and make sure that all those timelines were settled. Our high school at our Murchie, I don't know about everybody else, really likes the when it's in March, you know, we have the planning day and the conference day. Well, we use that as a bridge day, as a way to schedule all our classes, and we have like a career fair up top in our gym and everything. So that's good for us at high school. We didn't have as much feedback with the high school. High school teachers are a little more go with the flow kind of thing. So that wasn't as important to them as those conference days for elementary school. But I get that as a parent. Like,
Right.
I would love to know where my kid's at in September and what we need to work on with them. And also like to know in March, like we're getting to the end of second grade or first grade. What do we still need to know? Are we at the right point where we should be? So I get that from an elementary school standpoint.
And also some questions we've gotten from high school and maybe middle school teachers as well is, why do we have 4 to 5 pre-planning days?
I like pre-planning days.
And we have one that loves pre-planning. And the simple answer to that is, honestly, it's easier to put a teacher workday there versus trying to find them inside the calendar, take away a student day, then find, whether it be in a break that we're used to.
How long did we sit there and look at? I mean, we sat there for
an hour.
Wow, looking at
Yes.
if we take this day, can we add this day? We're like, nope,
Nope,
not that one.
gotta
Can't
go
do
back.
that. Got to make sure that. What did you say? That we had to have so many on one semester
Sure.
and
Versus
so
you
many
try to
on
make
the
it
other
even,
semester
the
where they were
semesters,
even.
right.
So,
And to that point, Cassie, we even asked our teachers of the year to go back to your leadership team, have a staff meeting or whatnot, and sit down and do a calendar. Like, we wanted feedback. We wanted more help with this to try to meet all the needs as best as possible. And I think it's more difficult than people realize. We got back 3, which we were very thankful for, but unfortunately, we couldn't use the 3 we got back because when you added it up, there wasn't enough student days, or there wasn't enough.
uneven,
It was
unbalanced.
you
uneven.
don't factor in all those things
Right.
that need to make it balanced.
So going to the elementary world a little bit, I know, Selena, you worked in elementary and you
Yes.
talked to a lot of our elementary teachers. So in support for them, what were some of their wants and needs that we looked
So
at?
we had a lot of great feedback from our elementary teachers, and the biggest thing we heard, we heard 2 things. They need those pre-planning days to get ready for school at the beginning. So that was very important to our elementary teachers. Also, having a planning day in September before a conference day was really important for them because they wanted to make parents aware of where the students were at and what they could do moving forward. That was very important. And they even said, you know, if we have to pick between having that in September or March, we would definitely pick September. But they felt it would be very beneficial to also have that to come back in March, have a planning day again, and then another conference day so that they could talk to parents about how students were doing and what steps they needed to take to get them to the end of that school year.
So a lot of factors, a lot of wants, a lot of wishes, and we wish we could take them all and make one. Unfortunately, we can't, especially with the state requirements and what goes into a school calendar, and we have to find 190 days for teachers to work. So we've worked really hard on coming up with 2 calendars for you all to look at and give your input. There will be a survey coming out very soon sent to you all and LSGT for the year 26-27. I'm a planner, so I'm trying to stay 2 years ahead with our committee. And they're a little different. What's very, very important to note is just because something's able to work for this school year that we're looking at doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to work for the point I referenced earlier. We have leap years, holidays fall on weekends, holidays fall on a Monday, Memorial Day's later. So one of these options, when considering graduation and what the high school principals look at, because that's extremely important as well, our students in school to be able to perform at graduation.
Coordinate it with everybody.
Right. So one of these options, when looking at it with them, it looks like we will be able to end before Memorial Day, pending graduation dates. And another one, is after, but there's some give and take as always. It's just two that you're going to have to really look at. But again, just because it works maybe this year, please understand that 28 or 27, 28, 28, 29, it's not always going to be a precedent set, I guess. And, Dr. White's been very gracious to give us that attendance incentive. We're all moms here, so we understand that. We get that. We may not get that attendance incentive with sick little ones, but it is an incentive,
Right.
just like a great incentive, just like we ask for our students. If the calendar is not able to work to be done completely before Memorial Day, there is that attendance incentive bonus in place. That if you come to school, come to work, you can be done, whether the calendar says so or not. So hopefully we've answered most of the questions and concerns. We will be sending this out. LSGT will have feedback and input. We're hoping that the questions kind of die down a little bit. If not, I'm always open, but it is what it is. We're trying to meet everyone in the middle. We have wants and needs for everyone, and there's still ultimately 190 days and 176 to 180 student days we have to accommodate for, in addition to all the other things we've rambled on today. So did I miss anything?
I think
You've covered it clearly. You've put a lot of thought, and you've
definitely put a lot of
work,
thought.
Sure.
and you've gotten all areas to put their feedback. We can't make everyone happy.
Right.
And it's going to change every year, and we
Right.
just need to keep that in mind. When I first started out teaching, we never got to give feedback. I was just handed a calendar. So I appreciate and applaud you for getting feedback from others.
Thank you.
That's a great point, McCall, and I commend you as well for that, because we've had feedback from LSGT, parents,
Principals.
community members, principals,
Teachers.
teachers, and all grade bands, and that is so important because everyone's voice matters. And although it is a give and take, and we can't make everything work, I do appreciate that we've been able to have feedback in all of those areas.
Well, I appreciate my committee and the teachers that have given
Yes,
input.
exactly.
We've spent hours going over this, and it's caused many of headaches, but I think we've got two down pat if our math and addition is correct. So Miss Jennifer White, do not come at us if we added incorrectly here, but I think we're good.
And that's harder than you would think.
It is harder than you would think. Thank goodness for Excel sheets that can check us on that. But thank you all. I appreciate it. These will be coming out very soon again for the 26-27 school year, in hopes to get this approved in the March or April board meeting so we can have those planned and you can get your cruises planned for spring break. So
Vacation time.
yes, absolutely. Thank you all.